Have you ever felt fear hold you back from living your best life? Maybe it's the knot in your stomach before a big presentation, the dread of flying, or that quiet worry about the future that keeps you up at night. Fear is universal, but what if you could transform it from a foe into a friend? Welcome to our journey through Free Yourself from Fears by Joseph O'Connor, a powerful guide to understanding and overcoming anxiety using neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. In this summary, we'll dive into each chapter, unpacking practical tools, real-world insights, and inspiring ideas to help you live with courage and freedom. Whether you're battling specific phobias or vague social anxieties, this book offers a roadmap to emotional freedom. So, let's get started because a life without fear is closer than you think. Chapter 1. What is fear? Let's begin with the big question. What is fear? Chapter 1 sets the stage by exploring fear as a primal human emotion. O'Connor describes it as a little darkroom where negatives are developed, a vivid metaphor for how fear can distort our reality. Fear has two faces: authentic fear, which protects us from real, immediate dangers like pulling back from a cliff's edge, and unreal fear, which stems from our imagination, like worrying about a future event that may never happen. Using NLP, O'Connor explains that fear is shaped by our internal pictures, sounds, and feelings. For example, picturing a snarling dog can trigger the same panic as seeing one. The chapter introduces the physiology of fear: racing heart, shallow breathing, and how our brain processes threats, real or imagined. It's a fascinating look at how fear works and a reminder that understanding it is the first step to mastering it. Chapter 2. Fear, friend or foe? Is fear your enemy or your ally? Chapter 2 dives into this duality. Authentic fear is a friend, alerting us to real dangers, like a warning signal to act fast. But unreal fear? That's the foe, paralyzing us with phobias, anxiety, or worry about things that aren't happening now. O'Connor outlines how unreal fears, like fear of public speaking or heights, are learned reactions that limit our lives. He introduces the idea of measuring your fears. Think of a list like darkness, snakes, or public performance, and scoring how much they affect you. This chapter also warns against bad reactions to fear, like freezing or panicking, and encourages us to see authentic fear as a guide while tackling unreal fears head-on. It's an empowering call to rethink fear's role in our lives. Chapter 3. Learning and unlearning fear. Did you know you're born with only two fears: falling and abandonment? Everything else, from fear of spiders to fear of failure, is learned. Chapter 3 explores how we pick up fears, especially as children, from parents, media, or traumatic experiences. O'Connor shares a touching story about his daughter's nightmares and how a dream catcher helped her unlearn her fear of monsters. The key? If fears are learned, they can be unlearned. NLP techniques like changing how we visualize or talk about fear can rewire our responses. This chapter is a hopeful reminder that we're not stuck with our fears. They're habits we can break with the right tools. Chapter 4. The language of fear. Words shape our reality, and Chapter 4 shows how they fuel fear. Ever notice how saying, "I'm terrified," feels different from, "I have fear"? The latter suggests fear is something you can manage, not something you are. O'Connor explains how our internal dialogue, like catastrophic thoughts about failing, can amplify fear. He offers practical NLP skills, like using affirmations to rewrite negative self-talk or reframing fear as a temporary state. For example, instead of, "I'm scared of flying," try, "I feel nervous about flying, but I can handle it." This chapter is a game changer, showing how tweaking your words can shift your mindset and calm your fears. Chapter 5. Fear in time. Fear isn't just about the present, it's tied to our past and future. Chapter 5 explores how memories of past traumas or worries about future events can trap us. O'Connor uses NLP to teach us how to reframe past fears by analyzing what happened and learning from it, like asking, "What could I have done differently?" For future fears, like dreading a job interview, he suggests mental rehearsal, visualizing success instead of failure. By disrupting negative mental images or sounds, like turning down the volume of a scary inner voice, we can reduce anxiety. This chapter empowers us to take control of time, making the past a teacher and the future a canvas for courage. Chapter 6. Common fears that hold us hostage. From fear of flying to fear of success, Chapter 6 tackles common phobias that hold us back. O'Connor breaks down fears like flying, authority, dentists, heights, elevators, and even death, offering NLP techniques for each. For fear of flying, he suggests visualizing the plane as a safe space or adjusting the mental picture to be blurry and less intense. Fear of authority? Imagine the authority figure as just another person, not a looming threat. He also addresses fear of success, where we sabotage ourselves to avoid new responsibilities. Each fear comes with a practical skill for freedom, like mental rehearsal or relaxation techniques, to help us face these challenges. This chapter is like a toolbox for tackling the fears that feel like jailers. Chapter 7. Unquiet Times and Turbulent Minds. Living in a world of constant news about wars, disasters, and crime can amplify our fears. Chapter 7 examines how media and societal pressures feed social fears, vague anxieties about safety, terrorism, or economic instability. O'Connor highlights how laws and security measures, meant to protect us, can sometimes heighten our sense of danger. He shares a story of a cautious cab driver, illustrating how fear influences behavior. The solution: focus on what you can control, like taking small actions or staying informed without obsessing. This chapter reminds us to filter the noise of the world and reclaim our sense of safety. Chapter 8. Social Fears. Ever feel pressured to look perfect or keep up with a fast-paced world? Chapter 8 dives into social fears like performance anxiety, fear of not looking good enough, or the pressure to achieve. O'Connor explains how society's obsession with appearance and success fuels these fears. He offers NLP tools, like visualizing deadlines as manageable distances or questioning who's really judging you. For example, if you're worried about your looks, ask, "Am I sure others care as much as I think?" This chapter is a wake-up call to challenge societal expectations and focus on what truly matters to you. Chapter 9. The Pressure to Achieve. The Price of Perfectionism. Perfectionism can be a silent fear factory. Chapter 9 explores how the pressure to achieve, whether it's wealth, status, or flawless performance, creates fear of failure. O'Connor shares a story of a golfer whose fear of missing a shot sabotaged his game, fixed by focusing on what he wanted, not what he feared. NLP techniques like changing internal dialogue, "I'll succeed" instead of "I'll fail," or adopting a contribution frame, focusing on what you can give rather than what you might lose, help break the perfectionism trap. This chapter inspires us to embrace progress over perfection. Chapter 10. Dealing with Change. The Uncertain Future. Change can be scary, whether it's a new job, moving to a new city, or losing something dear. Chapter 10 tackles the fear of the unknown, distinguishing between changes we choose and those forced upon us. O'Connor shares his own story of moving from England, highlighting how habits and fear of loss can hold us back. He introduces NLP's transition skill, where you reflect on past successful changes to build confidence for the future. By focusing on your values and resources, you can navigate change with trust and resilience. This chapter is a guide to stepping boldly into the unknown. Chapter 11. Fear as a Sign to Take Action. Authentic fear isn't just a warning, it's a call to act. Chapter 11 emphasizes that fear signals something hasn't happened yet, giving you time to respond. Whether it's avoiding a dangerous situation or preparing for a challenge, authentic fear is a survival tool. O'Connor shares humorous Darwin Award stories to show what happens when we ignore fear's warnings. The key? Pay attention to fear's signals, assess the risk, and act decisively. This chapter turns fear into a trusted ally for staying safe and proactive. Chapter 12. How we assess safety and risk. Feeling safe is the ultimate antidote to fear, and Chapter 12 explores how we assess safety and risk. O'Connor explains that safety comes from information, preparation, and confidence in our abilities. He shares a story of horse riding in Mexico, where asking questions about the horse's behavior reduced his fear. NLP techniques, like visualizing a safe outcome or creating a checklist for risk, help us evaluate dangers rationally. This chapter teaches us to balance caution with courage, ensuring we feel secure without being paralyzed by fear. Chapter 13. Acting on Fear. When to heed the warning. When should you act on fear? Chapter 13 helps you discern when fear is a valid warning. O'Connor discusses warning signals like a gut feeling or incongruent body language that indicate danger. He shares a story of his partner sensing unease in a street encounter, prompting them to turn back. NLP emphasizes paying attention to intuition and contextual clues, like a smile that doesn't match the words. This chapter equips you to trust your instincts and act swiftly when fear signals real danger. Chapter 14. Trust and Intuition. Your two guides. Trust and intuition are your superpowers against fear, and Chapter 14 dives into how they work. O'Connor explains that trust in yourself, others, or the situation creates safety. He offers exercises to explore what trust feels like recalling a time you trusted someone successfully. Intuition, meanwhile, is your inner guide, often manifesting as a gut feeling or subtle cues. NLP techniques like developing peripheral vision or quieting internal chatter sharpen your intuition. This chapter is a beautiful reminder to listen to your inner wisdom and build trust in yourself. Chapter 15. The Value Behind the Fear. Every fear hides a value, and Chapter 15 shows how to use it to your advantage. O'Connor explains that fears, like fear of rejection, often stem from values like self-respect or connection. By identifying the value behind the fear, say, wanting to be respected, you can reframe the fear as a motivator. He shares a story of a teenager afraid to approach a girl, using NLP to align his actions with his value of courage. This chapter is a martial arts move for your mind, turning fear's energy into a force for growth. Chapter 16. Dealing with Fear in the Body. Fear lives in your body, and Chapter 16 offers physical ways to tame it. O'Connor explains how shallow breathing or tense posture fuels fear, while slow, deep breaths and relaxation can dissolve it. Try this. Breathe deeply, scan your body for tension, and release it. NLP techniques, like moving the feeling of fear to a different part of your body or visualizing it as a color, help you control it. This chapter is a hands-on guide to calming fear through your body's wisdom. Chapter 17. Dealing with Fear in the Mind. Your mind can be fear's playground, but Chapter 17 shows how to take control. O'Connor shares a personal story of feeling fear in St. Peter's Church, using NLP to shift his mental images and focus on a positive memory. Techniques like creating a resource anchor, associating a gesture with a calm state, or distracting yourself with a new thought can break fear's grip. This chapter is a mental toolkit for rewriting the stories your mind tells you about fear. Chapter 18. Freedom from Social Anxiety. Social anxiety is like a multi-headed hydra, but Chapter 18 shows how to slay it. O'Connor identifies 5 heads: appearance, performance, authority, achievement, and time pressure, and offers NLP fires to burn them away. For example, humility counters fear of failure, while perspective eases time pressure. He suggests setting clear goals and letting go of attachment to outcomes. This chapter is a bold call to cut through social fears and live freely in the present. Chapter 19. Emotional Freedom. Here and Now. Chapter 19 is the heart of the book, Emotional Freedom. O'Connor reminds us that living outside fear means embracing the present with courage. Using NLP, you can choose what to focus on: hopeful futures instead of scary ones. He encourages testing your limits to know yourself better, quoting Albert Einstein, "Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow." This chapter is a celebration of living authentically, free from fear's chains. And there you have it, a journey through Free Yourself from Fears by Joseph O'Connor, a book that transforms fear from a barrier into a bridge. From understanding fear's roots to mastering it with NLP techniques, this guide offers practical, life-changing tools to face your fears and live with courage. Whether it's tackling a phobia, navigating change, or trusting your intuition, you now have a roadmap to emotional freedom. So, take a deep breath, try one of these skills, and step boldly into a life where fear no longer holds you back. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Here's to living fearlessly, here and now.